What's going on, y'all? Polo Sports Talk and Entertainment here again with another one. Be sure to hit that like button, sub to the channel if you're not a member, and also hit the notifications so that you're able to get all of my content and all of my videos. Now, just recently, Kevin Durant had appeared on JJ Redick's podcast, and he has some interesting things to say. As you know, uh, uh, JJ Redick, um, he has podcast, and it's called The Old Man and the Three, and it features a couple of other guys on there. But he has some interesting things to say. Okay, and uh, in regards to the late great Kobe Bryant, also known as Mamba, and he basically had boldly stated that Kobe is uh, is 1B next to Jordan. And this is what he had to say. He said there was a time period. He said there was a time period like between 2008 to 2013 before he tore his Achilles that you couldn't do anything with Kobe. Like there was no defense you could play on him to stop him. It's like extra help or flat out double. And JJ Redick, of course, agreed. And then after he got older, of course, they said they both agreed that once he hit like 34, something like that, then it was post prime Bean or post prime Kobe Bryant. Uh, you know, I'm I want people to understand, man, that lately there's been a lot of hate about the late great Kobe Bryant, whether it's through the mainstream media, whether it's through people that don't truly uh, understand the greatness that Kobe Bryant embodied. Um, they say all sorts of disrespectful stuff about Kobe Bryant, whether he was inefficient or he was selfish, a baja, or even going so far as to disrespect the man off the court in terms of what he has done off the court. And just so y'all know, I have Kobe Bryant as my backup shooting guard next to Jordan. Like I said, if any of y'all that follow my channel, that top 10 stuff like that, I don't do it like that because I feel like if you're gonna rank players, you need to rank them by position, and you need to actually have a build a constructed roster of who you're gonna play with. I mean, that's just me. Now if I'm gonna do something like that, uh, and make a list or whatever, then anybody that comes after that top uh, 15 that I have on my roster, then you could do your judgment on who's going to be in that order. And most of the guys that are on there that I have on there, I have pretty much seen play the game. But one of the reasons why I have a couple of reasons why I have Kobe Bryant as my second shooting guard of all time. One is his work ethic. Okay, let's just talk about his work ethic. Everybody knows that Kobe Bryant, his work ethic was unmatched. Okay, um, there might be some guys, that try to best to emulate it, or try to duplicate his work ethic, but it's unmatched. And the will and the drive and the determination, because he could have just gave up. He could have gave up when he got to the league, because he sorry about that. Um, because he pretty much was he pretty much Kobe Bryant pretty much was a guy that had to work for everything he pretty much got. He had to sit the bench. He had to um he had to sit up there and wait for his time. Um, as opposed to everything being handed to him. Now, that's not to say that Kobe Bryant did not um, have the natural ability, because he did. But you have to understand this too. If we're gonna go by, because I know some people are gonna go by numbers and analytics and percentages, um, things of that nature. Well, Kobe possesses one of the highest win percentages when it comes to the NBA Finals. Um, I think when we talk about the NBA Finals, I think the highest win percentage that um, that you could point out is a guy like Robert Horry, who had a 75.7 win percentage, and I'm talking about in the NBA Finals. But nobody talks about that. Kobe Bryant had a win percentage of 62%. Michael Jordan, he had a win percentage, of course, of 100 uh, in terms of win percentage in the finals. Um, he never. Well, if you're talking about overall wins, but if we're talking about actual games, then technically Michael Jordan it would have been 68.6. So Kobe's right there. But Kevin Durant has a profound respect for Kobe Bryant, you know, and he also has a profound respect for Michael Jordan. I think what gets thrown constantly thrown in the arguments is that the first argument that people will say is, "Oh, okay, well, yeah, Kobe, he uh he played with Shaq earlier in his career." Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he did play with Shaq. He did play with Shaq, and um, they won three straight. But it wasn't like they necessarily actually wanted to team up or anything like that. They just happened to be there. And they did what was necessary and they were successful at it. 3 times in a row, they were able to go back to back to back. We haven't seen any teams do that 3 times in a row, much less two in a while. Not since not since uh not since hold on 1 second. Um and that was sorry about that, y'all. That was I'm getting calls left and right. It was the Warriors 17 and 18. And then just a little bit before that, then of course it was the Heat. But we haven't seen guys do that. But Kobe was able to do it with by himself. He didn't make any complaints or anything. He had to go through a down period once Shaq left, and once they made a whole bunch of roster moves, and he stuck with it, and he was able to bring 2 more championships to the Lakers on top of the 5 that he had, and that's why Kobe gets so much respect. He could have left, when because it took him 7 years for him to get back to where he wanted to be. I mean, they got there. Well, actually 6 years. They got there in '08, but came there in 2009 and in 2010 and repeated. And a lot of people doubted him. There weren't very many people that had faith in him. There were a lot of people that were constantly, saying stuff, and he stuck with the rigors. And I have to bring this up too because not very many people can withstand the rigors and the mental aspect of playing in a place like a Los Angeles or like a New York or like a Chicago or like even a Detroit, even though Detroit hasn't been as successful as a while. So it's just some people that just can't play. But Kobe Bryant was able to do that. Now, in terms of Lakers, okay, my top five, my top 5 Lakers are always going to be is going to be Magic, and as well as Kareem, and then Kobe and Shaq, and then Jerry West. Okay, and I've already explained that, you know, and there's a specific reason why I have all 5 of those guys up there, you know. But I think like being able to be a champion at that level and being able to repeat and being able to three-peat and have that on your resume when a lot of people, you look at their resumes, they've only had, and I know it takes a team to do it. It takes a team to do it. But Kobe was able to play both ends of the floor. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Wilts. Make sure y'all go subscribe to the homie Will Strong. you know, Kobe did not stop working. And unfortunately his body had failed him. His body had betrayed him, you know. But I think that if Kobe did not suffer a lot because a lot of people got to understand he did suffer uh, quite a few injuries. Whether it was sprained ankles, he had the issue with his knee. He also had the issue with his finger. Then of course the Achilles, as well as some other stuff. That was nagging him. And he would play through the pain. But I guarantee you, if he wasn't able to do that, he could have sat back and preserved his body and did all of that stuff. Load manage, take games off, stuff like that. But he did not want to cheat the fans, and that's what you have to appreciate. And I don't think people appreciate that about Kobe. Kobe did everything possible for the Lakers not to lose. He did everything possible not to lose. Now, was he perfect? No. Did he have an ego? Of course he did. Was he super ultra competitive? Absolutely. Did some people want to be around him? No, not really. But they used to say the same things about Jordan. They'll say they say the same things about LeBron. They said the same thing about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. When you're a winner at the highest level, and when you're a very successful person, not very many people like to be around you because a lot of people don't really have they don't possess the winning mindset that you do. Some of those guys that were on the team, they probably didn't want it as bad as like a Kobe Bryant, or they didn't want it as bad as a MJ. You know, and wasn't gonna take any no for any answer. And we could get into all this stuff about, oh yeah, well he was inefficient and blah 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 blah, all this other stuff. But if you go back and you go look, and you can only count, I would say, just a few guys that he's played with in terms of being Hall of Famers. Uh, Played with Shaquille O'Neal. He played with Paul Gasol. Okay. Now I know people gonna mention Gary Payton, uh, Karl Malone, and that and everything, and even Mitch Richmond. But those were the only people that he played with. But that's the thing. Everybody wants to get into this conversation about, oh, who was better out of Kobe and who was better out of LeBron and all this other stuff. I'm gonna tell you like this: that argument and that debate, because it can be debated, but at the same token, I think it's a stupid debate sometimes because because for one, the NBA was different. Well, at least for the majority of time when Kobe had played, it was different until he, started to get older. And then also they played, when we talk about MJ, when we talk about Kobe, when we talk about LeBron, those guys played completely different games. And that's why like I don't like to get in those type of arguments and stuff like that in debates when it comes to, oh yeah, who was better out of MJ and LeBron, because the number one thing that people are going to try to point out, I think the one of the most, I would say, predictable things that people bring up about like a guy like MJ is the fact that, oh yeah, well he didn't start winning uh until Detroit got old and all this other stuff, or they'll say silly shit like, oh yeah, well Pippen that got there and all this other stuff, or Kobe Bryant, man, he was inefficient. He wasn't a good teammate either. No, 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 no. And that, you know, if we're gonna get into that, then I mean, you could have the same argument about, LeBron James, in terms of setting the stuff on the table about what he's done, about the drama that he's caused and stuff like that. But see, I like to just pay attention and focus just on basketball. But see, some of y'all don't do that. Some of y'all like to sit up there and y'all even go so far to disrespect, how a player looks or something like that. And to me, that's really stupid. But if that's what you want to do to win your argument, hey, kudos to you. But I'm gonna go what I see and what defines, a great player. And like, okay, I'm gonna compare Jordan with the Kobe. That's a better comparison. I'm gonna compare a Magic to Isaiah because they played the same damn position. A better comparison would be somebody at his position. Compare him to Larry Bird. 9 times I'm picking Larry Bird, of course, but comparing Michael Jordan to LeBron James, to me it's always been a lousy ass comparison. Now, if you want to talk about in terms of greatness, then yeah, and you know some people they always talk about goat, 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 goat. Damn, how many goats do you gotta have? They like, oh yeah, well he's the goat, he's the goat, he's the goat. Well, I thought the goat was singular. I thought it was just primary. I thought it was just one guy, not like 10 different goats. What I mean? So that's why, and that's part of my reason why I just build a roster. I'll say, okay, hey, this is my starting five, and this is my bench. Build it like a real roster. But anyways, man, I ain't mean to go off the rails, but yeah, Kobe needs more. He needs more props, man. I mean, people, the way that people disrespect this man. This man um, he hadn't been in his grave 5 years yet, and people are still disrespecting this man, and more so on a personal level. You know, that's aside from his talent or whatever, and his know-how and what he brought to the game and stuff. So, y'all let me know what you think, man. Leave your comments. Uh, like it, like the video, share it, subscribe, hit the notifications. Polo Sports Talk and Entertainment. I'll get at you later.